Now to the UK, where a newspaper column by British television presenter Jeremy Clarkson about Prince Harry's wife Meghan has become the press standard regulator's most complained about article. In a column for The Sun, the former Top Gear presenter wrote that he hated her and dreamed about Miss Markle being paraded through the streets and shamed. His words led to shock and anger, with Clarkson himself later saying he was horrified after making the clumsy comment. The article has now been removed from The Sun's website. The Independent Press Standards Organization says it has received more than 20,000 complaints about the column, which was published last Friday. Now, more than 60 politicians have signed a letter from Caroline Noakes MP, the chair of the UK Parliament's Women and Equalities Select Committee, to the editor of The Sun, warning such articles contribute to a climate of hatred and violence against women. Well, to look at this in more detail, let's speak with Arise Entertainment correspondent Judita de Silva, who is in London. Good to see you, Judita. So more than 20,000 complaints to the UK press regulator regarding Jeremy Clarkson's column in the Sun newspaper. Tell us more about what has caused such outrage.
Timing of it. This comes as he's lent his voice to the backlash to the documentary, which Harry and Meghan on Netflix, which saw its last 3 episodes debut last Thursday. So on the back of a wave of negative reaction that has gone towards Harry and Meghan, it seems that Meghan has been singled out yet again. And Jeremy Clarkson, who has quite a broad platform from the fame he built on Top Gear and as a host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire here in Britain, he then posted this op-ed piece. And the difference is that he's not like a legitimate journalist. An op-ed, the nature of those pieces, it's a column. It's your opinion, it's your feeling, it's your point of view. So it's allowed to be very askew when it comes to its execution. But the way he did it was so visceral in the hate and the violence it incited. That's why everyone was so up in arms about it, because the climate in Britain over the last few years, whether it's from the Metropolitan Police or other crimes, it's felt that crimes against women are on the up and justice for them are not matching the proliferation of these kinds of crimes. And then having a figure like Meghan Markle being so slap bang in the middle of this kind of hate, having someone like Jeremy Clarkson, who should know better, allude to the TV series Game of Thrones, in which the character of Cersei is paraded naked through the streets, and people shout shame on her and throw excrement at her, saying that he dreams of this happening to Meghan Markle, is kind of like a wolf whistle to the kind of people who hate like this, the internet trolls towards women like Meghan. So it's kind of unified people a lot. People who might not even have been great fans of Meghan Markle are unified behind standing up for a representation of women when it comes to facing violence and harassment.
And Judita, Mr. Clarkson appears to recognize that he overstepped the mark. He said he's horrified to have caused so much hurt, but does he face any repercussions?
Even those over 60 MPs that signed their name to that complaint to Victoria Newton, who is the editor of The Sun, they said that even his message he put on Twitter, he acknowledged that there had been a negative reaction to what he said and he would think carefully in the future, but he didn't actually apologize. And they've asked him to apologize directly to Meghan Markle, which he hasn't done. And also, as the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the head of ITV, Kevin Ligo, was asked if they would be removing him as host. And he said, no, not at the moment. But he did say that his behavior does not represent the morals of ITV as an association, but he represents a broadcaster when it comes to his work as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But what he writes is not within their wheelhouse, so he cannot punish someone retroactively for something that wasn't done under his umbrella.
And this apparent vitriol, Judita, shown by Jeremy Clarkson, appears to support the case that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's Harry and Meghan documentary was actually making, and the complaint they were making about intrusion. I mean, is there a sense that Meghan's biracial heritage is an underlying factor in all of this? Because, I mean, we've seen something of a relentless tabloid campaign against her, and she's suffered quite a bit of racist abuse online.
Absolutely. I think it's a double-pronged attack for Meghan Markle. It's both a question of misogyny as sexism as well as also racism. Because when you look at the kinds of people that have gone after her with real bile when it comes to their tone, Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson stand head and shoulders above the rest. But what it comes to is a conversation that a lot of Black people are having in Britain, particularly at this time, which is what you find is what Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson represent is a demographic of the white, heterosexual, wealthy male. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people from that demographic who feel that at this time in history, they feel they're public enemy number one and almost an endangered species, because to the right, you have LGBTQ emancipation, to the left, you have feminism and Me Too, to the front, you have Black Lives Matter, and to the back, you have trans rights and everything else. So they feel that when it comes to demographic power, theirs is waning at the expense of everyone else. So that is why there's this almost triggered reaction they have that is so aggressive. And to have it in the helm of a partly Black woman who has been thrust into the highest echelons of society in Britain and flip it on its head based on the conversation of race, you're challenging the very diktats that define what they feel validates them as an existence. To be a white man, heterosexual and wealthy, well-educated in Britain, you're almost born to a feeling of entitlement to be better than. So to have someone challenge you that validates, be worth something rather than just say you earned it by the very virtue of your existence, that shakes them to their core. And it's almost like having an animal backed into a corner where it's defense or die. That is why there's that violence to the way they speak about her. But it's really important to our community in Britain that this conversation continues to happen, because the more Jeremy Clarksons there are, there's more evidence of what Meghan Markle has said she has been suffering, or what many of us have suffered in silence, which is that institutional racism that has enabled people like Jeremy Clarkson to exist in the first place.
Thank you very much indeed, Judita, for that analysis. Judita de Silva, Arise correspondent, talking to me there from London.